A film is successful or unsuccessful. This kind of film, a reality film, not a fantasy film, is successful because of the writing. No matter who directs it, no matter who acts in it, is not going to help if it's not on the page. The scenes were written based on a book that was a very, very interesting book called The Bone Collector. The scenes were put together, written by a young writer called Jeremy Iacone, who did a terrific job.
The book and the screenplay have many different aspects to them. It's a thriller, it's a crime story, it's a detective story, but really the thing that really attracted me was the relationship between these two characters. Lincoln Rhyme, played by Denzel Washington, Amelia Donaghy, played by Angelina Jolie.
It was a story that interested me because it was a relationship film. It was also a film that was part mystery and part thriller. It had many, many, many elements that I have never seen put together in this way. And it dealt with a heroic figure, a hero in this film that has never been done.
Well, it is a fascinating character. I mean, to play a person who is quadriplegic, C4 incomplete, is a challenge, a great challenge for any actor. That aside, it's a great story. It's a tight script. And when I read it, it was a real fun read, you know, page turner, wanting to find out who done it.
It was just one of the first scripts in a long time that I couldn't put down. When I read it, I was really into it. And I wanted to know what was going to happen next, and I thought that was, you know, I liked it. And I couldn't forget it. And it scared me to death in my apartment by myself when I read it.
It became a hot screenplay in terms of Hollywood, if that's any indication. Everybody was excited about this material, and we had a buzz before we started this film.
You know as well as I do, there's work on nerve regeneration every day.
One finger, two shoulders, and a brain. That's all I have, Barry. These dysreflexia seizures are occurring more frequently. Buildup of fluid in my spine is a degenerative condition. We both know I'm waiting for the seizure that's gonna make me a vegetable. I don't want to be a vegetable, Barry.
I have had the opportunity to work in all of the films that I make with two great actors, and Denzel is one of them. Denzel is really a great actor. He's an artist.
Martin Bregman and myself, we sort of talked and we said, you know what? Someone has got to be able to play this who's a really, really fine actor, because he can't move from here up. So it's got to be the voice, the eyes, the mind that's seen working. He's playing a very intelligent guy who's been robbed of other faculties. And that's really hard.
Really, it's your soul and your instincts and your spirit and your eyes and your mind and your heart and your ears, what you hear. How you react to it then can be physical, if you like, or it can still be physical and not use your arms and legs and shoulders and this part of the body, you know. The expression really is here. I think obviously in the theater, it's broader, so your expression is you use your entire body, less so in film. I want you to work the case with us.
It's not my area.
Are you being modest, or are you a little uneasy about doing some real police work?
I think it was the best connection I've ever had to anybody on a film because of just simply that. There was just a stillness and an honesty that had to be there. And so much had to be communicated from here and inside than actions or touching and you couldn't turn away.
When they blow the hole, I want Donaghy to go in first.
Hey, come on, Link, she's not trained for this. We could get our asses in a sling.
Hey, my ass has been in a sling for 4 years. Tell Hanson and his beast that's what I want, period.
All right, you got it.
Michael Bregman came to me with the idea. He said, you've got to see this. You've got to see this actress, this young actress. And he showed me a tape that she did called Gia. And I found her performance extraordinary. I then looked at something else that she did. It was the George Wallace story. Again, very different and extraordinary performance. And then Philip saw the same material. We were anxious to meet with her, and we did. And she just knocked us out.
She's extraordinarily gifted. She's got a tremendous range for comedy, for drama, for action, and straight relationship type scenes.
She's just very, very engaging and, young and full of piss and vinegar, and, she's fun to be around,
When Marty Bregman and Philip called me, they said, we got this girl, you got to see her, you're going to love her, she's great. And they were right. I saw Gia, the film Gia that she did for HBO, and it's obvious that she's a very, very fine actress.
I just feel like this little kid that they've opened up Disneyland for me, and I can run through and get on every ride. I can't even believe that I'm part of this, and that there are we've got these streets blocked off, and we're getting in there, and I'm racing up in this car 70 miles an hour and running out, and we're getting suited up in gear, and there's a SWAT team, and we're breaking through things and blowing manhole covers, and it's like, it's huge. And I'm in it, and I'm just blown away.
I've been a fan of Ed O'Neill's for many, many, many years. Most people are unaware that Ed O'Neill was a serious stage actor in New York and was on the boards for 10 years before he went into a series where he played a character that was basically a comedic character. But Ed O'Neill is a fine, fine actor. Actually, he's a brilliant actor who is a very experienced actor. And he brought a sense of reality to this film in the character that he plays, which is a tough New York cop.
I just try to entertain myself. I try to do it as well as I can, and then I really just go scene by scene, and then the project's done, and then I hope it turns out well, and then usually I'm disappointed, and then I go and try another one, and it's just, I don't know what I'm doing. I like the actual doing of the things, I get a kick out of it, and meeting the people and all that. And of course the money's fine, and that's what I do. But I don't look off into this, maybe, someday I'll win an Oscar. I don't think about that stuff.
Hey, Link, you okay?
Out now.
Anything we can do?
Ass is out of here now. Come on. Hang on, let me get you some air. Come on, breathe for me, Link. I said out.
Everybody we have in this film has been carefully picked, hand-picked, and honed.
Queen Latifah plays the role, and when I saw her on tape, she had done a screen test, she was so natural and so believable, so honest, that it was obvious she was a great choice. And she's also a great lady and a wonderful musician and artist. And we had a great time together. We had a lot of fun together.
You okay?
I would be okay if your powers of resuscitation were a little less adept.
Look, not on my shift, all right? Now, if you have a problem with that, you can just fire my ass.
You know, I provide generously for you in my will. You ought to keep that in mind.
Ryan, I'm not interested in having this conversation, okay?
Okay.
I had to audition for this role, and I didn't audition with Denzel, so I couldn't look at someone in the face and be, concerned about. Well, what they said stood out to them was that I wasn't worried about where the camera was located in the room, but more so about what was happening at that time, taking care of this guy who I work for, who, it's my job to take care of him, and that was what was in my mind, and evidently it stood out in their minds, and that's really what it's about. He's convinced some doctor friend to help with his final transition, as he calls it.
But suicide? I mean,
it's the seizures. See, any one of them could put him into a vegetative state. And that's what he fears more than anything.
We interviewed, wow, dozens of quadriplegics all over America and in the United Kingdom for technical reasons, but also to understand the mindset.
The highs and lows of being totally dependent, you know, what that does to a person. How do you live every day? What do you live for? You get sick of people doing things for you. You can't get up, you can't go anywhere, you can't feed yourself, you can't go to the bathroom, you can't do anything. You are totally dependent. That's torture in a way, and how you overcome that, and how do you live, and who are you?
We're dealing with a very serious subject here, not just the murders, but also the fact that our central character is a quadriplegic, so you have to treat that very seriously. It's an escapist movie, it's a piece of entertainment, but it's not entertaining to be a quadriplegic, but it can be uplifting for the person in the sense that, you know, they may have lost their physical capacity, but they still have their spiritual capacity.
I met people like Christopher Reeves, and I found the people that I met that still have a purpose or a job seem to be doing better psychologically. A couple of people I met, their job was physical, construction work, a guy who works on roofs and stuff. That was his life, that was his work. He wasn't doing as well. I met another guy who was a gymnast. He wasn't doing as well, you know, because before he could get to the highest level that he wanted to get to as a gymnast, it was, you know, he lost everything. So there's something missing in his life. And he was still a positive person, but they all talked about the bad days, and they all have them.
Hey, you're looking a little dehydrated. How about some juice?
How about 2 fingers of vodka?
It's a little early for vodka, don't you think?
Time, as you well know, is a relative consideration, Thelma.
Juice.
Vodka.
Juice.
Vodka.
We had a team, a couple of nurses on set, initially from the rehearsals in New York on up here to Canada, and on set all the time that we're doing these scenes, to basically keep everyone aware of the technical things that should be in place. At the end of the day, we're shooting a movie, not a documentary, so it won't be exactly like it might be in real life, but it'll be pretty close. But it was not just important for the technical side of it, it was important for the relationship side of it, you know, because it's hard for someone who wants to be alone but can't. You know what I mean? So there's a way that we have to play this relationship so that it's comfortable, that you're used to it, that it appears as though everyone is used to their situation. And that relationship, that bond is something that I could only get from asking someone who really does that. Doesn't that kind of look like a face? Your mouth, nose, eye.
Enhance. Fade.
That's a woman's face.
Yes, it is. It's a logo. An old, turn of the century publisher's logo.
You know it?
I used to own a few of the books. Gothic stories. Crime stories.
A good friend of mine, Bo Dietl, who is a former, very famous New York City detective, brought to us a forensic expert named Hal Sherman. Hal Sherman is one of the leading forensic cops in the country, if not in the world. He was there in every forensic scene that we did.
Well, we had a great expert on the film. I don't know if you remember, there was a guy who was looking for the print on the matchbook. Matchbox, he's a forensic scientist who's done some of the biggest cases in New York. So he was always there, you know, and I'm the guy with 1,000, well, how does that work? Well, what do you do? Well, why do you do that? Well, when would you do that? Well, why wouldn't you know, ask? So he loves talking about it. So, you know, we got to look at some really interesting cases and photographs.
There's a guy, Hal Sherman, who was our chief forensic consultant. He was showing us pictures of crime scenes, and I mean, let alone the demandingness of his job in reference to, you know, the details. These are some of the most horrific images you'll ever want to see in your life.
A lot of time was spent with the crime scene unit of the NYPD here in New York. I went out with them to numerous homicides and saw the way they collected evidence, and you can see that reflected in the crime scenes that are portrayed in the movie. And in addition, Angelina visited with a whole lot of female police officers here in New York. Went out, on the beat with them, talked to them about, what it was like.
I met different police officers. I talked to different female cops. I hung out with different cops. I read different books on criminals and forensics, and I went to the forensics lab.
Somebody get that black suitcase and bring it over here, please. Pull out the brown envelope.
Sounds like you're starting to enjoy this work.
The key to research is that you record it. So what I try and do is make research papers so that even though you've found out these facts, you can also pass them on to everyone else on the movie. So both the cinematographer and the production designer, even though they weren't able to come out and visit all these people, at least they could read the research notes, and that guided us, in the look of the film.
Even when we were there in the things that were constructed, once inside them, you just thought you were in the real deal, It was amazing. It's amazing what they do, really. We're every much as bit taken as in awe of that thing as anybody else. You show up and you go, wow, I got to go in there,
In the subterranean settings of the movie, you have a dark, foreboding look that's natural to a place where there's very little light. But, essentially I see this as a film about a wonderful and uplifting relationship. So as much as darkness is important in this movie, so is light. And I think that, that's reflected finally in the visual style.
What do you do, bring the whole lab with you?
Hey, Mom always told me be prepared, right? Where do you want this shit?
Just put it over here in the corner, will you? How is your mother?
Oh, God, she's 76 and she's stooping some guy named Morris. Can you believe that?
God bless her.
Yeah, but it's Morris the Stork I'm worried about. He's 79 with a tricky ticket and an active pecker.
Half the movie takes place in one room, and the central character never leaves his bed. And he can't move 98% of his body. And most of those scenes are shot in a quite static way, because that's the reality of people who spend time with a quadriplegic. You don't move around, you get in his or her eyesight, and you stay there in order not to inconvenience them. So we've shot those scenes quite realistically, just as they would be played, except hopefully there's a kinetic that comes from Denzel Washington's character's mind, which is alive, electric, running at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And so hopefully there's an energy that reverberates off him and ricochets around the room and off all the people and back to him like a machine gun that's firing. And then when we get outside, instead of being static, instead of being enclosed, suddenly we open up and we get all of this.
Shit, what's this asshole up to?
I don't know, but it's going to happen in about 10 minutes and 30 seconds.
All right, Link, we're here. We're going down there.
Behind me here is Nassau Street. Over here is the Stock Exchange.
It's enormous. It's more or less like army troop movements. We have hundreds of people. We have close to 300-400 extras.
I was talking to Philip, and I said, so what is it? There's a camera. There's one camera, he's being really helpful in teaching me about things. And he said, there's a camera there and you're gonna drive into it. And I saw the shot and it's this great shot and we're driving up and racing. And he said, and then the other two cameras. And I said, where are the other two cameras? I was in the back seat, like every other, you think, well, maybe you put it on the side, the one on the other side. And he said, well, you see that building? There's one on the 21st floor. And then, and I just started laughing. I was like, oh, come on. He said, no. And there's one on the 60th floor there. And I really thought he was kidding. I thought, I knew he was out of his mind, but not to that extent.
Okay, let's move!
What Philip Noyes brings to this film is a terrific visual sensibility, which is important in this kind of film.
Philip is intense. He's very funny. He's a hard worker. He works too hard. I had no idea he's only a year or two older than me, because he's wearing himself out.
Well, he's a very passionate guy. He's a very, very, very involved in every aspect of the production, and the guy is fanatical.
There's a method to his madness, but it's mad. It's completely mad. But he is, and he's one of the most interesting people. Yeah, but he's great. He's just great.
He kind of has a bigger picture, rather the entire picture in mind, and kind of covers all the bases in a way. And it's really just a great crew that surrounds him. I mean, he's got an excellent cinematographer and cameramen who are making it look exactly how it needs to look for it to, keep its intensity and move. It really moves. I like Philip. He's a nut.
A director has a wonderful advantage because they can sit back and watch all the performers, and for me on this movie it was like having a front row on a different Broadway show each day, a front row seat, because each one of them is just amazingly talented, and it seemed as though we were able to create a certain chemistry on the set where they seemed to dance around each other. So going to work was, quite inspirational every day, and I always look forward to what I was going to be a party to, what I was going to be a witness to. As a director, putting myself, I guess, as a director should do, in the audience's seat.